Going live. Okay, I'm with Trey Hilderbrand, and we're at the U.S. Open Juniors, and Trey just finished his third round match. And unfortunately, it didn't go your way today, but you've had a phenomenal tournament.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about this experience? I mean, you found out pretty last minute that you were in the main draw, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did that go? You thought you had a wild card into qualies?
First into wild card into qualies, and I had a pretty good run at College Park, grade 1 after the quarterfinals of that. And about 2 days later, they just sent me an email saying I got an upgrade to a main draw wild card, and that's how it happened.
Okay. And is this your first time playing in the U.S. Open?
Yeah.
And is it your first junior slam?
It is.
And how does it compare to a grade 1 ITF?
I mean, it's a lot better. I mean, you feel like you're actually a part of the pros. Like, you feel like you're part of a good thing. I mean, it's really fun.
And they've allowed coaching this year in the juniors, and your dad's here as your coach, and I'm hoping he's going to join us in a few minutes if he can find us. Can you talk a little bit about what it means to have him courtside? And you looked over to him quite a bit. I was there for a lot of your match today, and you know, he had some really positive words for you. Do y'all talk about that ahead of time, like what you want?
Usually, like when he's on my side, like when he's able to coach me, I just try to tell him, just please, don't be negative with me. Like I don't need that when I'm on court. And he did a pretty good job at this tournament, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you had one of your buddies up in the stands today too, and yeah, he said he hopes to play this tournament next year.
Yeah, for sure. Elliot's a good friend of mine. He has a bright future. He's a very good player, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him next year at this tournament.
Very cool. So you're from Texas. You train in Texas. Yeah. And so can you share with my listeners a little bit about what your day-to-day training looks like?
Well, I go to a school Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so Tuesdays and Thursdays I get about 4 hours of training in.
Okay.
And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't go to the school, but I do all my school at home. Mm-hmm. And I have a little more training. I do about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours a day.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
On the court, or?
No, about 3.5 hours of on-court time and about an hour and a half cardio fitness, stuff like that.
Okay. And do you have a separate trainer for that? Or?
I did, but we're kind of finding one right now. I don't really have one at the moment.
And what about your nutrition stuff? Is that a big part of your routine?
Yeah, it's very big. I just try to eat healthy. I mean, not a specific diet, but just trying to eat healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are tall. How tall are you?
6'4".
6'4". You still growing?
I don't know.
Probably.
I kind of like to stay at this height, but...
I mean, you're 17.
Yeah.
You're probably still growing.
Probably still growing.
Yeah. But I was talking to your dad during your match, and he said you've always been tall for your age.
Yeah.
So you haven't had to struggle with those big growth spurts that a lot of kids have to struggle with. You seem very comfortable in your body out there. Your balance is great. Your movement's great. You serve and volley, which, I mean, how awesome is that? So can you talk a little bit about how you developed your style and maybe how it's changed as you've gotten older?
Well, my dad used to play an era where you came to the net a lot, and that's what he used to love. That's what he used to do, and that's just how he always taught me growing up, just coming in and putting pressure on people, and I kind of just play that way my whole life. Mm-hmm. That's my dad right now.
Oh, good. Come on in. Dad is joining us. Come on in, Mark. We're live on YouTube, and this is going to be part of our podcast that'll hopefully go online. Y'all are going to have to sit closer together. I can't get you both. So Trey was just explaining his style of tennis and how he learned from you the whole serve and volley thing, that you came up through that serve and volley era, and maybe you can you didn't have the benefit of hearing what he said about it, but tell your dad what you were saying about.
I just said he taught me that way all through my life, just coming in a lot and putting pressure on people and playing aggressive, and I just played that way my whole life, so it's just kind of natural.
And so we were saying that, with his height, his movement seems to be really good, his balance seems to be really good, and you don't see that a lot with 17-year-olds that are that tall. They're just not, they haven't grown into their bodies typically, but
Right.
What have you done to help Trey feel comfortable with this gift of height?
You know what? Just it's really hard at times because what I do is I don't treat him like he's big. In other words, whereas some people try to give them an out, they say they can't do this or they can't do that, or it's hard for them to do this or do that. We just don't accept that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
I'm sorry.
and just we just make it hard on them and try to get them to do all the things everybody else can do, and at times it made me push them to places I don't want to push them. Mm-hmm. Which is difficult. But I think it pays off.
He said that for this tournament, he told you if you're going to coach him, he wants positive stuff. He needs positive. Can you talk about the challenges of being dad and coach, watching your kid out there, in this major opportunity? I mean, this was a big deal. Mm-hmm. How do you kind of keep your head on straight and give him what he needs out there? Because it's stressful.
I don't perceive, I really don't care where we're at. I consider this tournament just like any other tournament, whether we're back home or not, and that's really the deal. And for me, it's I think I have a pretty good, head on my shoulders in regards to the process. This is just practice. In the big scheme of things, even now, whoever wins this event, oftentimes they're the ones that have matured faster physically, whatever the case may be. So the end product is not there. It's just not.
Right.
And so, at the end of the day, yes, I want him to be able to win this, but I want him to play his best tennis when he's in his mid-20s.
Right.
And in order to do that, in order to have a good serving volleyer, in order to have somebody that's going to come into the net and do all those things, you don't win that way at 12.
Right.
You just don't. And so you have to be able to see that, and you have to be able to do that. And that's why I feel, I think I've done a pretty good, I've failed in a lot of areas in regards to, him being my son, it's tough. But in regards to that, I think I've done that pretty well, just seeing the big picture. I remember just telling him, I don't care if they're lobbying you, there's going to come a day, and when he was very little, we saw that, you could just tell he was big. He was going to be big. He was always in the, 97th percentile, and I was like, I'm just being honest, he didn't move that well. And so he had every characteristic of being a giant. So I was like, man, we're going to have to come forward times 1,000 in order to play his best tennis. So we just kind of did that and stuck with it.
Yeah, and it's working. It's working. So you're having a phenomenal event. I mean, did you expect to get this far when you found out you were in the main draw?
Not really, to be honest.
I mean, you've beaten some seeds.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good tournament, but should have kept it going, but it's all right.
What do you take from this? When you go back home, what do you use this event to help you do next?
I know I'm able to compete with the best players in the world now, and just help my confidence a lot.
Mm-hmm. And what do you learn from a match like today, where you came out and you dominated in the first set, and then the second set didn't go your way, and you were right there in the third set, and besides the fact that, hey, I can hang with these guys, how are you going to win that match next time?
Probably being a little mentally better. It's a couple points here or there I could have screwed my head on better and maybe converted a couple more break points and just done that sort of stuff, yeah.
One of the things I noticed about your game that I love is you're a big hitter, you're a big server because you're a big boy, but you are not afraid to use some kind of, well, I won't say the J word, but yeah. And I was asking your dad when you hit some of those little choppy drop shots that spun off the court, and some of the slices that were really nasty. Dad said that was kind of something he grew up playing like, and so how do you feel that impacts your opponents? Because I know I hate playing people that do that stuff.
It definitely helps sometimes to mix up the pace a little bit. People usually don't like it. It's helped me throughout the years. It's done good for me.
I would think they wouldn't expect it from somebody your size, right?
Yeah, they usually just don't really expect it.
Yeah. What do you say, Dad? What made you decide to help him incorporate those things into his game, or is that something he just came by naturally?
No, well, so from when I grew up playing tennis, I started very late. So in order for me to beat people, I couldn't out hit people. So I had to figure out ways to beat them, whether it was drop shotting, outworking them, out competing them. All those intangibles were the things I got good at. And so ironically, because of his height, and because when you're a tall kid, you just don't have muscle. And then you're slower than everybody else, and this, that, and the other. So I wanted him to have answers, and so I just, taught him how to bring people in, taught him how to use his hands, taught him how to, all those little things that I learned, or I did. I just kind of instilled those, because honestly, if he was going to win matches, if you didn't like coming in, he was going to bring you in. If whatever it took, and so I just taught him to be able to do all of those things, and I'm very visual. And so we would play a lot of mini tennis and just have a ball with each other and do all that kind of stuff. And he would eat it up. I mean, he would just, can we play again? Can we play again? And he just, he would emulate what I did. And he just got real handsy and real good with all that stuff. And because he, honestly, his feet couldn't get in position a lot of times. He had to do that. And so on the flip side of that, that's kind of what we're working on now is, the term that we would use is he plays with his hands sometimes too much instead of taking that extra step, setting up and busting the ball.
Interesting.
There's a fine line in there that you have to be careful of.
Right. So you're committed to play for UCF. What do you do between now and the time you go down to Florida to get ready for college tennis? And what are your expectations?
Well, I just can keep playing the big junior ITF tournaments like Grand Slams, stuff like that, and try to play a little more futures to get ready for a higher level of tennis. And what was the other question?
Well, what are you going to do specifically between now and the time you go there, and then what are your expectations once you get there?
My expectations, I think John's going to push us a lot. He's going to make it very hard on us, and I feel like we're going to be a very good team, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
So is your plan to go there and play for 4 years right now? Is that what you're looking to do?
Yes, that's my plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because the Collegiate Invitational is going on here, and so I'm getting the opportunity to talk to some of those players, and I'm hearing from a couple of them that they're taking the fall off this year, maybe not sure if they're going back, and I just always wonder how you come to that decision. Have y'all talked about that at all, whether college is a 4-year thing for Trey, or is it a year by year? You're going to see how it goes?
When I started this deal with him, ironically, not to make anybody upset, but the goal, I always thought it would be the coolest if I could get my kid to go play for Pepperdine. And, I thought that would be the neatest thing, have the team experience. It's kind of morphed into potentially something more than that, I think, based on what I'm seeing. And so right now we just go with the vision of 4 years, but I think there's some metrics out there that if you're ready, you're ready. I think that a good model of that is I'm drawing a blank from TCU. He just went pro.
Oh, Norrie.
Yeah,
Cameron Norrie.
I think he was at a place, in my opinion, where it was pretty obvious it was time for him to go. I don't think anybody would. I think most people would question that.
Right.
And I think he's showing it. So I think that if you're in challengers, at the challenger level, and you're winning a couple of rounds, I think it's time. That's my opinion. And so whenever that time comes, hopefully, if it does come, then we'll address that. But for now, we just plan on playing and learning. I think because of his build and his height, I just think he's a little more delayed. I think he's going to need a few more years. Is kind of what I'm thinking.
So, do you look at a player like Chris Eubanks, who's had a phenomenal college tennis career so far? He's a tall dude like you, skinniest legs ever, but the kid can move and he can bang the ball. So, Trey, do you look at him as somebody to emulate for college, or?
Maybe. I haven't really seen him a lot.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how he plays. I have seen his build. He's big and skinny, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. What about you, Mark? Have you watched Chris at all, or?
No, I haven't watched much. I really don't. I think Trey's style. I really don't know how he plays.
Big serve, big forehand, 1-E.
Okay. that's when you're saying that, it's kind of a different animal to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey comes in a lot more. Trey's very, unorthodox. So yeah, I don't know. I think we look at more players like Trey's trying to emulate his game is more Marty Fish or Todd Martin.
Okay.
That would be kind of who we think he plays a lot like.
Cool.
But how that translates into the 4 years at college, I don't know. It's just he's going to places and he's at a level now that I have never been to, and so I think I trust John, Coach Roddick, and I think I like the fact there's a few guys at the USTA that I trust also. So we'll all kind of look and whatever's best for him, we just we put our heads together and hopefully he continues to grow.
Yeah. So Trey, I wanted to ask you. Sorry, I know this is going on and you're probably so tired. You just played this 3-set match. How do you keep yourself motivated to keep working hard? Because burnout's a real thing in tennis, and especially at your age, that's kind of the time where a lot of players just find themselves with a lot of distractions, and it just gets harder and harder to make yourself get out there and work hard.
I mean, I've never really been like that. I've always wanted to be the best, and just like keep doing well. I've never really been satisfied with anything, and I just want to keep getting better. And I want to play professional tennis, so I just keep telling myself I need to work hard to get to that level.
At what age did you know you wanted to be a pro? I mean, do you have was there like something?
Like 10 years old, something like that.
Was it seeing somebody on TV or going to a match? Do you have a memory of that?
I did watch the players a lot on TV, then I really I wish I could be there one day, and hopefully I can.
Did you grow up going to college tennis matches at all?
No, not really. I never really saw any.
Okay. And what about pro events? Did you ever have the opportunity to come see any?
I went to one in Houston Playboards, but that's about it. Nothing else.
Who's your favorite player?
Federer. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I just really like him. He wins all the time. He's very calm on the court. I don't know. I just really liked him a lot.
That's not a bad guy to want to be like. Yeah. You're okay with that, right?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, if he has that kind of career, man.
Right. I like people that can play good tennis. He plays good tennis, obviously.
And he's a good guy,
and he's
right?
a good guy.
He gives back a lot.
I like Del Potro, too. He was awesome last night, too.
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy match, very much so. So what advice, I'm going to ask you first, Mark, what advice you have for parents of juniors who aspire to reach the level Trey has been?
I think one of the biggest things that has to happen for players and parents is the message has to remain the same. In other words, I think that you find out pretty early on. I think you can see what attributes they're going to have. I think if they're going to be speedsters, if they're going to be whatever the case may be, and you mold and you find a game style to do that. And the message has to remain the same. I think you can get lost. I see it every day in parents that, and we were talking about this earlier, John, you beat Johnny last month, and then you see him 2 months from now, and little Johnny at 14's grown 3 inches.
Right.
And the parent they don't see that. They don't care. And so they get lost, and they switch coaches, and they get a different message and all that. And next thing you know, your kid's learning new things, and you become the jack of all trades, master of none. And I just think the message has to remain the same. It's okay to learn new things. It's okay to dabble in that, but as who you are, who you're going to be, if you want to master it and be really good, you have got to buy in. You've got to be able to stay the course with that. And so I think that's the biggest thing, and you just can't get rattled by some bad mistakes. If you're working hard, if you're applying, if you're doing all the right things, you have to be able to trust that your kid, and it's okay if your kid ends up being number 100 in the world, or your kid plays, the high is Division III tennis, or they don't play tennis. It's okay. Get your kid as good as they can get, and you have to be okay with that. It's not, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Right. And how about you, Trey? What if you could give advice to the parents? What would you tell them? Look away, Dad. Just look away.
Just to be supportive and don't put them down as much. Don't put them down a lot. Just keep their hopes up. Pretty much, yeah.
That was very politically savvy of you. I like that answer. Well done. All right, well, they're giving us the wrap-up signal out there. They need the room, I guess. So, guys, thank you so much, and congratulations to you. It was really nice to watch you play, and I look forward to seeing you a lot more. All right?
All right,
Thanks, you guys.